A mass shooting at Bondi Beach in Australia, Sydney, has been declared a terrorist incident and targeted attack on the Jewish community, celebrating the first night of Hanukkah. At least 16 people, including one of the gunmen, were killed, and dozens injured remain in hospital following the attack, including two police officers who are in a serious but stable condition. The alleged attackers, a father and son, fired into crowds packing the beach for the start of Hanukkah on Sunday evening. Investigations continue in Bondi Beach attack as police raided the home of the alleged gunman. The father was killed at the scene, while his 24-year-old son was in a critical condition in hospital. Australian media has named them as Sajid Akram and his son Naveed Akram. The son is in critical condition in the hospital and is likely to face criminal charges.
What's really important is to say that we do have a 24-year-old male in hospital at the moment. Based on his medical condition, it is likely that that person may face criminal charges. I'm very mindful of not prejudicing any prosecution of that person if they're put before the court.
In the wake of the shooting, which is Australia's worst mass shooting in almost 30 years, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese convened an emergency meeting of the National Security Committee. PM Albanese said it was time to consider whether the country's gun laws needed to be tightened up again. He termed the attack an act of evil anti-Semitism.
The government is prepared to take whatever action is necessary. Included in that is the need for tougher gun laws. This afternoon at 4 o'clock I will put on the agenda of the National Cabinet tougher gun laws, including limits on the number of guns that can be used or licensed by individuals. Quite clearly, the Howard government's gun laws have made an enormous difference in Australia and are a proud moment of reform, quite rightly, achieved across the Parliament with bipartisan support.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended his condolences to the families who lost their loved ones. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar spoke to Australian Foreign Minister Penny Wong and conveyed his condolences and offered New Delhi's fullest support. US President Donald Trump offered condolences and expressed sympathy for the victims and their families and noted that authorities are investigating suspects in the US and Australia.
I just want to pay my respects to the families. We also had 3 injured, but 2 of them are already out of the hospital and one's going to be okay. But we lost 3, so it was a rough day. I can tell you in Syria, there will be a lot of damage done to the people that did it. They got the individual person, but there'll be big damage done.
World leaders have also condemned the Bondi Beach terror attack, expressing solidarity with Australia, offering condolences to the victims and their families, and pledging support as authorities investigate the incident. Bureau Report, DD India.
So the pain is still fresh for Australians as more information trickles in on those who have been killed and those who survived this terrible tragedy. For more on what this means for Australia, we are joined by Nazia Alvi Rahman. Nazia, going forward, what kind of steps is the Australian government taking to ensure that incidents of this nature do not happen again?
Government has already announced that going forward, it will be more of a preventive, they'll take a lot of preventive measures. As I already mentioned, that security has been enhanced around all Jewish community places, synagogues, schools, and extra funding has been announced for Jewish community, particularly for the security of Jewish community. What is very important here to mention is that anti-Semitism has been on rise in Australia since October 7, 2023, since the Hamas and Israel conflict started. And early this year, a special envoy was asked to make guidelines on how we can contain it. And some very strict guidelines were made effective a couple of months ago, wherein any university where even a single case of anti-Semitism is reported or it feels like that the university is not able to contain it, the funding would be reduced or withheld. That was one. And second, even the visas of a lot of, at least 4 to 5 cases of cancellation of visas of people who had anti-Semitic views or even any kind of very extreme right-wing views were cancelled in the last 4 months by the Home Ministry. They have also announced measures like very close scrutiny of media reporting, so that this doesn't fuel further. Another thing which is important here to mention is that gun laws are very strict in Australia, but these two gunmen, these two shooters last night had 6 licensed arms, which is something very alarming for the government. So they have already announced that they're going to relook into the gun laws of the country.